Right, this time we're going to go live really fast because I realized that I was running late. Too many things to set up for this particular stream. So, hello. I am very excited that I have finally gotten my Assimil8or. It finally arrived. I'm very happy. And I have literally not actually had the chance to play with it at all beyond manually triggering some of the built-in samples. That's really about it. So, I thought that we would go through it together today from the very beginning, basically from an open box, knowing nothing about how this works, and we'll see where it gets to. I've got some other little things that we can use in all of this. I have down here, you can't see it, but I have a little, I could take this off the... I have a little setup here with a Zoom H1 and a little clamp to try to sample some sounds into this from this other guy that I have over here, which is I got my hands on a little kalimba. Those little thumb piano things, which I think makes some really nice sounds for ambient, actually. So we're going to see if we can do anything with that inside of the Assimil8or. Hi, unboxed. Good to see you. But and yes, yay. I'm very glad to finally have my hands on this. But I think the very first thing that I'm very curious to try out is this whole sound on sound mode that I guess they added in 2.0. Because I've seen some little demos of it and it looked really cool. So, a real life rings. Yeah, pretty much. Doesn't sound quite the same, but it's... And you know, the interesting thing I didn't realize about these instruments is they're not chromatic. They're all like a C scale, right? So there's no sharps, at least on this particular kalimba, which is interesting. Or no sharps or flats, I guess. Anyway, let's see about setting this thing up into this new sound on sound mode, because I have the page somewhere. Talked about it just a minute. So I guess in order to do that, we're going to have to put some signal into it. So let's not use the kalimba yet. Let's not complicate things. And let's just put a classic rings sequence in. Something else to collect. Yeah. Lazy to restring or retune. Yeah, I would get that. All right. Oh, you weren't here for the last string, unboxed, by the way, but I figured out what was wrong with my rings. It turns out it just needed another factory calibration, and then everything was fine. So that made me happy. Okay, so... we're going to go out of one of these. Probably can't see what I'm doing with rings, sorry. I'm just patching volt per octave and strum, that's it. And then going into the left here. Hello, Dobofus. Good to see you. We are just working with the Assimil8or, getting things set up to do sound on sound mode right now, which is this new thing that they added that's supposed to be really cool. So, as far as I understand, let's see. I need to, well, let's first see what we're doing. So I think that I need to go into sampling setup. Yeah. Oh boy. I remember seeing an example that you have to set the sampling time. So let's just set it to something small and see what that does. Wow, this thing can sample at 192 kilohertz. That's crazy. I mean, I guess 48's fine for now. High pass, arming. Maybe it's record mode. Oh yeah, sound on sound. There we go. Okay. Did I decide if I'm keeping the tail harmonic? So far I am thinking yes. Over the holidays I did a bunch of research on like what other sorts of interesting oscillators might I replace it with? Because that's the thing about the tail harmonic. It makes interesting sounds and it has an interesting way of using it. And, you know, there's a lot of oscillators out there that are just like an oscillator. And, you know, they have some complexity to them, but not much. And so the only thing that I could find that was comparable with the Telharmonic in terms of being like unique was there's this thing called the Demon Core oscillator. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. It's like a 16 voice built into one small unit oscillator. It makes these really giant sounds, but it's also needs the expander. It needs an expander in order to really work well, and then it gets bigger than the Telharmonic HP wise, and it also felt I don't know. It was designed. It seemed like it was designed for massive polyphony when played via MIDI. So I was like, well, I could go out of one of the MIDI things on the vector and into it and then sequence it via MIDI, but that just started to seem complicated. And I was like, you know what? No, I had a good session with the Telharmonic the other day. I think I'll stick with it. So yes, exactly. The expander on MIDI for the vector. Yeah. Ah, good. Well, I'm glad to hear it. It's a fun module. Just make sure you read the manual and refresh yourself on music theory before you dive too far into it. All right, so I think I've got this set on sound, and I guess there's two different sound on sound modes. There's this one that I got right now, which says sound on sound sampling with 100% feedback for unlimited layering, and then there's this sound on sound other mode, which it says is sound on sound sampling with minus 3 dB feedback on each pass for gradual decaying. That sounds like what I want. Oh, learning modular, like the learningmodular.org or whatever that site is. We're going to try this mode. Should get a sequence here too. Well, I guess we got a sequence. Let's maybe just... All right, it's fast enough. So I can see stuff coming in, or .com. Okay, right, yeah, because his thing is paid. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so now I think maybe I just have to hit sample and it'll start doing what I want. Let's see. Hold sampling set up to ARM sampling. Okay, well, I will do that. Is it? You did? Oh, no, it's playing. Must be missing something. Let's turn off sample. Recorded sample, sure. Sound on set. Maybe I need to like set it up to monitor or something like that. Okay. We already did sampling setup. Oh, destination. There we go. Channel 1. I guess that will put it through to the first channel that would be on output 1, but is also on the mix output, maybe? Let's see. Okay. We'll figure this out yet. Yeah, I checked output 1, nothing there, sadly. Channel 1. Zones, I don't think we need to mess with zones right now. Sound mode of half a second recording time. My brain works faster than you type. Think that's good? Good high pass. Oh. It's hot. Yeah. Okay. What about maybe pan mix? Output level mod source, no. Oh, monitor left input mode. Oh, there we go. It's loud. Okay, so that's a start. Although that might just be monitoring the raw input. Oh, no. but it's coming out not stereo, which is interesting. Oh my god. Also, terribly clipping. Okay. How do we make this be stereo? Oh, this is soloing and muting for individual channels. Whoops, I don't want that. Yeah, alright, so let's maybe I can load or I can just do a new folder, sure. We'll just call it whatever. Long press data 1 to save. Okay. Here's a new folder. Channels. One won't have a sample in it. Channel mode. Oh, these are. Nope. Saved a sample. I didn't want it to do that, but. Were you guys hearing that in stereo? I wasn't. I'm still hearing it in my left ear only. Maybe I'm just my connection to my computer is a little wacky from these headphones. But I don't think so. I think it's the right spot to set up stereo, yeah. Crossfade group, no. Make like the second channel stereo / left or something. Maybe it samples and maybe it's sampling in stereo rather than sampling in mono. Yeah, definitely not nearly as instant as the Morphogene for sure, but it's this is going to be, at least from my perspective, used for a very different purpose. Not just putting sounds into it like this. Once I figure out the sound on sound thing, we'll see whether it's better than Morphogene for that. Just to move this along, I'm gonna take the even out from rings and put it in the right. All right. Now let's try to figure out why that was clipping like crazy, right? Maybe we need to make the sampling time longer. I don't know, let's make it a second. Let's see what that sounds like now. That's already pretty cool. Although it does start to clip after a bit. I guess that's the wave, must be the waveform on the top bit of the display. It does seem to occasionally clip. I wonder if there's oh, here we go. Oh, I should have done this. Side dual mono. There. That was what I actually wanted. Or I guess not, maybe dual mono. I guess it's just the left side that we're sampling from. Well, it's now still left-sided, but let's just see it. No, that wasn't it either. Oh no, how about that? Nope. Alright, we'll go back to using stereo. yeah, the sound was distorting, and you could see the signal. The signal was really, really high. So threshold of minus 40 dB. Oh, input level. Maybe I just need to turn down the input level a bit. See what that does. Because this thing is on in the, you can see the lines getting bigger and bigger and bigger because it's on this sound on sound mode, right? So it's re-recording on top of itself, but it's set to give it a minus 3 dB on every of the last layer that was recorded every single time it goes through. So the layers fade out. Now I wonder, can you simultaneously trigger samples from this while you're doing that? That would be actually cool. Because then you could like use this module both as this sort of interesting repeater alongside triggering individual samples. So let's just see if I set up a... So I recorded one of these things like briefly, so can I trigger it? Yeah, I think I can. Sounds terrible, but like, yeah, the little buttons are manual triggers, exactly. Or of course I could gate and CV and CV and CV. I think that these are all individually assignable to different things as you like to, but I obviously have not messed with that. Okay, so I can trigger other samples, but that is cool. While that is going on. Anything else? I don't think I can change anything else while it's live sampling, unless can I do things like change the pan? Seem like it. Holy cow, that's a lot of modulation sources. Okay. Can I reverse the sample? Oh, splice smoothing, nice, that's cool. Didn't want to save that sample. Oh well, I'll clear all this out later, but let's have it in reverse mode now. Will it actually reverse it? Doesn't seem like it, but... I think it reversed this. You want to put in a soft piano and have a... Do you mean like get a like a VST for a piano, or are you just talking about something else? It's definitely sampling instruments into this is something that I want to do. More acoustic instruments. There's even an envelope on this. Cool. Of course, it's not really... I don't know how relevant it is to this sound on sound mode necessarily. Anyway, that was cool. Ah, yes, our audio has a free sample library. Yeah, that's sort of exactly the thing that I want to load up onto this to have the option of playing, because like a lot of the people that I see messing with the Assimil8or always have like this sample from somewhere else that they've been using rather than resampling stuff that they already have, which I think resampling things you already have is Morphogene's real area of expertise. I recognize the piano from a lot of things. Good to know. It's going to be like one of those... Yeah, there's a few sound effects out there from games I used to play that I'll hear them on TV or whatever and suddenly be like, wow, yeah, that I've heard that in like 26 different places. There's a bear sound from World of Warcraft that I recognize all the time. All right, so let's see about like normal sampling into this. We'll put the kalimba in and see what we can do. So I'm just gonna take these out, and then I have the kalimba coming in on the right input over there. Oh my goodness. Maybe we'll hook this up. Oop, okay. It's gonna need a longer one. All right, so now maybe we need to set this up to be the dual mono mood. Bunch of Wolfenstein samples. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Not very ambient, but that would be pretty cool. Okay, so we're going to save this to channel 1, sure. The record mode is going to be once, I would say. Sampling time all. I don't know what that is. Let's sample this at crazy 192 kilohertz. Okay, so it has a threshold. So it must be if I hit sample, is it just going to arm it, or is it? We'll see, I guess. The input level up here. Let me make sure that my mic is on. It's not. Oops, I think my recorder ran out of batteries. One sec. Fix that. Luckily, I have spare batteries lying around. Fix that. While breaking everything. All right, batteries. This is going to take a while to learn. Yes, I agree. But I think hopefully the basics won't be too bad. I've seen some videos on the sort of just normal sampling workflow. That sound on sound one was a bit confusing, but they didn't seem too bad. And then we'll hopefully get it CV controlled and see if we can play multiple pitches and how well it tracks vocal octave and all that kind of junk. Now, are you going to give me battery? Yay. Okay. Probably here. Like, yep. I don't know. That's one of the things that Rossum actually prides themselves on with this is the lack of menu diving, because it's really every single thing is supposed to be accessible via a button that's on this interface. So it's like you press a button, you're in a thing, you use the data thing to choose stuff, but there's no like, then you choose another thing and it dives into an additional menu, then you choose another thing and it dives into an additional menu, as far as I understand anyway. I've worked with some stuff that's very menu divey and it's, yeah, unpleasant. I would not be able to deal with it, I don't think. But it's similar to like the Rainmaker. That's also possible. Yeah, you may not need to muck with it too much. Okay, so we have that going in. Hear it. And we need this to be, I guess, dual mono. Let's maybe turn off the monitoring. Auto. Well, let's just turn it off. That we don't necessarily hear it until we sample it in. So, okay. Channel 1, zone 1, once, all. So I should hit this, and it should arm. Minus 40 dB seems like a big threshold. Maybe No, maybe minus 12. The way it really needs to go before it's going to sample. Okay. Let's see. Got the kalimba. You won't be able to see it because I'm sampling it down here, but I will just play a C to start. Okay. Ah, did it just like start sampling already? Okay, channel. So let's not take the mix out for now. Let's just take the like trimming waveforms and stuff like that, you mean? I would imagine, but I have not tried. Ah, did it just like start sampling already? Yeah, so it did start sampling already. Yep. I like go in here and like delete this sample. I can. It's actually pretty self-explanatory. Okay, so we got it to sample, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted, which I think means that we might have to have this arming safety to safe. I want it to trigger on the threshold, which means I want this to start sampling immediately, so let's see. Also way too loud. Why? Erase. Go away. All right, so why is it doing that? The thresholds, let's just set the threshold way, way high, and then we'll, should be no way we trigger it at threshold of -1 decibel. Okay, I think we got that. Let's see. So channel 1. It's a little loud, but that's okay. Okay, so things that we can do when you're talking about trimming: sample start, sample end, loop start, loop end. So this must be the start, and that must be the end. Press turn. Oh, press turn data 1 to zoom. Okay. Let's see. There must be a better way to do this. I probably should just read the manual. Oh, look at that. You're a smart one. Oh, and then we'll... Whoa, 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 whoa. What did I just start changing? Sure. Let's turn that off. Okay. So we're there. Oh, I don't like this auto zoom, but... I don't know if this is doing it in real time. Yeah, it is. Okay, I just had it too far out. Not nearly as intuitive, I would say, as a dig attack for editing waveforms, but that just might be my use, how much I'm used to doing the dig attack with editing waveforms. Okay, so, and I don't think we really need to adjust the start. That seemed okay. So, now pitch. I think, so this is what I think we have to do. We have to set the pitch mod source to CVA for this channel. And then we should be able to change this. Let me just see if I can remember how to get my tetrapad into keyboard mode. Oh goodness. I definitely don't remember. I was just going to make a quick keyboard, but I guess I can do it here too. So we'll take the pitch and gate from rings. We need longer cables. So we'll see if we can play this kalimba. Hopefully. Seemed like we were headed the right direction. Directly in the way, sorry. Stay down. Back up, okay. All right, so then if I go into keyboard mode here. Sort of works. Might be a little high, so let's just turn on the octaves. I think that sounds more on point. Cool. That was not too hard at all. I mean, this is like scratching the barest surface of what this module can do, of course, but like... So let's see what else we could add into this. We actually pan it now? Oh, right, of course we can, because this would be in the mix, and it's not in the mix. We're just having the one channel out, so... This phase mod thing is what the Assimil8or is apparently like made for. That's the phase modulation part of the phase modulation sampling. I haven't really had any intention of doing anything with it, but I don't really know what it does at all. Interesting that you can't control the level with a CV. That would have been useful for things like accents, but... All right, what else have we got here? Oh, you can... Oh, so you can... Okay, you modulate the start and end points of the sample, it looks like, via start mod and end mod. Oh, we don't really want to loop. Oh, yeah, there's an envelope. Right. Let's give this a bit of an envelope and just see what it sounds. Maybe not that much of an envelope. It's interesting. So when you turn the data knob, it sort of watches what you're doing, and as you start like repeatedly scrolling and scrolling, it scrolls faster. So like if I am just doing this, I get like precision, but if I start really going, then it starts jumping way forward. I can still, there's like 1 second at a time, and then all the way back to 0. So let's put out just a little attack on this and see what it sounds like. I mean, misses sort of the point of the kalimba, but... Look, I can play sharps on the kalimba. Could I put that sample into other channels to make a polyphonic sound? That is exactly... Yeah, you read my mind, because that was exactly my intention here, was to try to put them all together, because... There's interesting ways that you can put channels together in Assimil8or. I mean, you can obviously use them as separate channels, but you can also stack channels together so they play at the same time, and so you can make layered sounds and that sort of stuff. It's kind of cool. Okay, so let's not have any attack time because that removes the point. Release. Play is gated. What's the trigger options? Trigger on select. Gated or one shot. Gated makes sense. We don't want to loop. Okay, so let's see about that. Interesting. Why did it take up 2 channels? No, but we're gonna not have that. We're gonna have this use this one. What is that? Oh, because I don't have it on the output. Yeah, that would help. All right, let's see if we can make this duophonic in some fashion or another. Okay, so I need to set this in AB mode. Was on AB. Is playing something. Yeah, I guess music boxes basically were just toy Kalimbas, right? Because they have that little like thing that comes down and hits each one of these little guys, right? Okay, so this sounds like it's just not playing out properly here. Oh, the sample end is like really... in reverse? Did I mess with something in here? I must have. Yeah, the reverser was on. Well, that was cool. Hey, you should. Something I want to do more of this year is bring my recorder around everywhere I go and just sample random stuff, because I don't know. Have you ever heard of the program that's called Paul Stretch? I think this actually needs more release. Yeah, so if you don't know, Paul Stretch is this crazy program you can install. It's free, and you feed it a wave file, like a sound, and it like stretches out the sound to, like, you can make like a 5-second sound to be like 30 hours long or something crazy like that. And it just like smears all of the textures of the sound together in different configurable ways. It makes them like, you can take like a sample of, like, I don't know, kicking a log or something like that, and it makes it into some crazy ethereal soundscape or whatever. Like, it's nuts, and I haven't really played around with it enough, but I do want to do some sampling, Paul Stretch it into something crazy, and then put it in the Assimil8or. I would like to hear the baby being Paul Stretched, because that would be interesting. Okay, I'm gonna... that release to be like, it sort of cuts off, and I want it to not. I'll have to mess with that more. But anyway, okay. CV going into, okay. So we can play 2 things. That's good. Now we just have to figure out how will we do some sort of mock polyphony here, because we don't really have polyphony specifically, unless I could try chord mode on the make you figure. Yeah, there's nothing on any of the other triggers. I'll once we figure out this polyphony thing, I'll break out one of the demos, because there's some cool demo stuff on here. There's stuff from Richard Divine, I don't know how you pronounce it, There's a bunch of stuff from DivKid, which I've never seen that be on anything, which was cool. Lots of like interesting drones and like choral sounds and stuff like that. Kind of cool. And then I'll rake my finger down the triggers. So one of the things that you can do, actually, because we have Shifty to get this sort of mock polyphony style thing, is put it into shift register mode. And then we'll send the gates and trigs, or gates and CV rather, through there. Okay, so pitch into CV, gate. Let's just make sure this is doing what I expect it to do. Yeah. So now every single time you like this, it's not really polyphony, but it's like this. It's an idea is that every single time you press a note, we're going to trigger the gate on both samples, and the value or the note that gets played sort of rotates in a shift register. So we'll see what that sounds like. Stretching the limits of my cables once again. Oh my goodness. Okay. Don't really, well, I guess I'll use my Octalink because it's going to be needed here. So I'm going to have to just put the CV through a buffered mult so that it doesn't lose any values into the Octalink. And out of the Octalink into CVA, which I actually need to set up because I didn't do that. So I have to go to channel 2, I have to go to pitch and choose CVA. You choose, oh, you can. So I don't even need to patch that. I can choose the CV from another channel, so I can take 1's A, I think that's what that means. And then I bet you I can take the gate from that too. So, or wait, I don't want that for the CV. The CV doesn't want to match. Right. It's, whoops. But I could do that. So that's interesting. All right, 1. Yes, I do need to buy some longer cables. It is very true. I'm going to keep this out of the way so that you can still see the menu. Let's just take it around this other side. There we go. Okay, so not 1A, but CVA, so that's still coming through. Now, can I figure where the gates come from? Oh, yeah, I can set this up as a link, I think, and then I think, yeah. You can see that by setting this as a link channel, you can make it so that when you trigger the first one, it triggers the second one as well. So let's just see if that does what I think it does. Cool. Yep, that sounded pretty neat. Yes, I do hear that feeding this into the morphogene is a very interesting way of going about things, and that is indeed why I have them next to each other. Because I do want to do that at some point, but not just yet. Play a sharp, yeah. Then it doesn't sound like it's in key at all. Well, I guess this is a key. There's all sharps is something. I don't remember what it is. Yeah, and I do, you can't see it, but I have one of those little cable tree things over to my side here. They're extraordinarily handy because now that I have so many cables, it's keeping them organized is a giant pain. Right, okay, so that was one option for sort of polyphony. Actually, I could put this in random order too, and then it won't be as... It's interesting. Can you hear the sounds phasing against each other? Mostly when they're the same, yeah. Which makes sense. I think that is part of what this whole phase mod thing is supposed to be about with this sampler too, is basically doing that, but with another sound in the sampler that doesn't play. Just uses it as modulation source, essentially. I'm going to make you buy a third case. Yeah. Oh, I know that feeling. Or like DivKid stuff constantly. Every time he puts out a new video, I'm like, well, I want that. Oh, the menu turned off. I know, you have to, right? I'm already... The fact that all of these, that all of my case is not fully filled is... makes me unhappy. It will be. It will be. I have some modules to get rid of and all that sort of stuff. I'm still debating about whether I keep clouds or not, or get the micro cell. I'm just... I don't know. I don't know. It's a unique effect, and I don't know what I would replace it with, but I don't know that I use it sometimes, but not that much. We'll have to see. Well, you made a good choice, Debofus, to pick up a small rack, because then, like, I originally just had this 170. Well, actually, originally I had the rack brute. That didn't last long because I really wanted the 1U things. Then I had this case, and it, like, I filled it and it was great. And then I was like, oh, I could get a second case, but then, like, how would I carry it? And oh, it's going to cost so much, and all I'm going to get is a case. And, like, it's good to have a small case in some ways, because then you don't, it takes some amount of impetus to be able to, like, overcome the costs and all that sort of stuff to get a second case to start filling it. The Typhoon, is that a case? Other ways can we make this polyphonic in the 2-voice mode? Because then then it needs a second set of gates in order to do that in the 2-voice mode, but that's not. Clouds plus a VCA. Okay. Interesting. That sounds actually similar to what the Supercell thing is, because it has VCAs and a bunch of other stuff that they've modified in it. It's, yeah, I debate picking it up. I don't, the main thing that stops me is, like, or the main thing that stops me from getting rid of it is, like, I don't know what I would replace it with, and I do use it occasionally, and I'm like, I have almost everything else that I could want. I don't want more voices. Effects, I want to do a lot more pedals, because I'm getting a 1U pedal module in, so I don't really want that much more ear and wave Eurorack effects. I could maybe get more filters, but the one thing that's been highest on my list to possibly replace it with is the what's it called? Make Noises Mimeophone, because it sounds pretty cool, but it is also a delay, and I already have a massive, huge Rainmaker that is amazing. So, okay, so other ways that we can make this polyphonic. Let's see. The other options for channel mode. I think cycle makes it so that each trigger will go through the list of channels and trigger them, like, in order, basically, but we don't really want that necessarily. Oh man, this. Oh yeah, let's do the chord mode in vector sequencer. Let's set that up. Okay, so we don't need these anymore. That means chord mode. So we need to go into this control. Is that it, or am I not remembering? No, global. We go in and find part 1. And, oh wait, we can't do it with part 1, right? We have to do it with part 5 or higher, and it might already be set. No, it's not. Okay, so part 5 will make it a chord mode 1. Here, and yes. Okay, so now part 5 is chord mode. Let's set this up again. We did this whole thing the last time in setting this up so that all the outputs were right. So CV outs, right. Part 5, voice 1, and then 5. Let's just do part 5, voice 2 for now. We'll just do 2 voices of the chords and make sure that it works. Yes, you're right. Now I can set up drum mode, and I don't even need to find some drum samples because there's a whole boatload of them included on this thing. Tons of drum samples, more than I would ever use in an ambient sense, that's for sure. Okay, so pitch 6, pitch 5, and pitch 6. So let's set this up. This can be pitch 5. Out of the way. Other one can be 6. And we'll just gate them together. It doesn't really matter. That'll be gate. We'll set up that linked channel thing again. Oh, whoops. This cable. This webcam is sure unstable. Okay. So we set this to be in link. Go to link. Now these two are playing together, but with different CVs from chord mode. Let's set this up as a very short sequence. Need the 1 gate, just because we'll experiment around with changing the chord. Let's see what we get. That's an A chord. Actually, I think it's just in unison right now. Great phasing. Look, it's a C major. Look, it's a C minor. So that works. I have a feeling that I might be using this chord mode a lot with Assimil8or. That could be very interesting. Yes, also nice not to be messing around with tunings. That was not good. Okay. That was cool from a polyphony perspective. What else can we do here? I'm just going to grab the manual again and see. There's one thing I was interested in, which is these things that are called crossfade groups. They allow you to crossfade between 2 to 8 channels under CV control. So, do you have an idea? Yes, you can set it up to play a different sample depending on CV values. That's this zones thing. So, or at least as I understand it anyway, this is zones thing. So you can set up for each channel, you can set up I think up to 8 samples, and then you map out in this zones thing the -5 to +5 voltage, and you break it up by sample basically. And if you're in this voltage range, it'll play this sample. If you're in this voltage range, you can play this sample. And I think that they added something in the newest operating system I mean, I might be speaking out of my ass here, but I think they added something that makes it so that doing this process is much more automatic or something like that. I don't know. And yes, that is where you could get silly with morphaging for sure. Okay, so I was curious about this crossfade groups thing. So what I want to try first is, can you resample internally into Assimil8or? Because that would be useful. I don't know if it can do it or not. So sampling setup. So look like it, because it's only got like dual mono. I'm just gonna turn off the recorder so don't waste battery. 1 sec. You can use a random sample on the same CV value. Yeah, so that's a good point. So that acoustic instruments sound more natural. Let's see. How might you go about doing that? I wonder. I don't know. There might be a way to do that. CV, what is that? Oh, data to CV substitution. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some way to do that, seeing as how oh, this is what I need to set up later, but seeing as how powerful this thing is in general, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I know that you can use those linked groups to do layering of samples, but yeah, that would be an interesting way of doing things. Although, I mean, I think you could just send a random value into the CV and then map it to zones, right? And then that would choose for you. But I get what you mean. It would be nicer to be able to do it internally. Okay, let me see if there's a way. Looking at the manual, see if there's a way to sample internally or not, because there might not be. Sampling, right? Oh, no, it does say one of Assimil8or's key characteristics is that the module is otherwise functional during the sampling process, so you can not only resample whatever it's playing, you can trigger channels or modify what it's playing by changing parameters while it's sampling. Yeah, okay, sounds like there should be a way to do this. So, yes, yeah, you could do something with maths. Yeah, totally. Okay, I'm just. I guess you could do CV triggered sampling with this too, which is nice. That could be nice. I guess you could use that to turn on the sampling with a sound on sound mode so that it comes in and out. That would be actually handy. It definitely says that you should be able to sample internally, but I'm not how that works. I mean, I guess you could just patch the mix out. It seems kind of hacky, but you just patch the mix output back in. I would have thought there'd be a way to do that automatically. Okay, let's not mess around with that. I can figure that out later. But let's just get 2 samples of some kind into here. Well, I guess we have them technically. We have both of those samples that were in those channels, and then we have where's the other one that I recorded? Was it this one? Let's listen to what this was. Okay. I turned on the looper, by the way, just to see how that works. Oh, that's nice. The loop, that loop mode is per channel, so that's good. All right, so let's see about this crossfade groups thing. Maybe I'll make another one that has reverse turned on, just to have some differences between the two. And we'll pitch it down a semitone. Or wait, let's pitch it down a useful number of semitones. Let's pitch it down 12. Yeah, which channel are we on? Hear it, but see if we can now take the mix outputs and if this will actually work. I mean, I'm going into mono, but I just don't want to have to keep repatching everything. Do I still have the is this samplings? I might. We'll see about that in a second. See what we maybe I'll take that and mangle it and send it to Morphogene and mangle it some more, and we'll see what that turns into. Okay, so all right, and maybe in reverse. Okay, so now can we crossfade between these two? So if I suspect that it needs to be separate groups. I'm not looking at the manual for this yet, so we're going to try this, and if it doesn't work, then I'll look at the manual. So that could be crossfade group A. This could be crossfade group B. Okay. CV, okay. Choose what CV is. I thought that you could use data 2 to do this crossfading, but all right, do the manual. Not as easy as I would have thought. All right, zones. Oh, there's a shuttling and scrubbing mode. That's cool. Okay. All the samples that are on it. Cool. Okay. Just gonna quickly search. One sec. Oh, crossfading. There. Okay, I found it. Crossfade groups let you assign from 2 to 8 channels to groups which can then be crossfaded under CV control with variable crossfade width. Up to 4 crossfade groups may be defined and independently controlled. Controlling CV input and the crossfade width for each group are set in the fields at the bottom of the screen. So I think that these might actually need to be in the same crossfade group. So, binding channel modes, crossfade groups. Right, assign a channel to a crossfade group. We already did that. Then you can assign a CV to control the crossfade and set the width of the crossfade. Oh, those are just the things that were at the bottom of the page that are right here. This is the CVU value that will control the crossfade, and that's the width. So let's just temporarily play this. Can we play a keyboard with this? Right, and it said it was 4C, so I'll just throw a tetrapad fader maybe. Yeah, we'll throw a tetrapad fader into 4C here. See if we can make this crossfade while we play something. The answer is no, not yet so far. The width seems weird. 9.1 volts seems... Maybe it needs to be less, like, I don't know. Yeah, sure, 3 volts, okay. In 4C, right? Yeah, I'm plugged into 4C. Oh, maybe I might need to actually gate both of these. So if I make this a link channel. Oh yeah, now you can hear it. So now it's only one sound. Now it's both sounds. I feel like I need a negative voltage. Maybe I'll just make a quick LFO here. Although I think that Stage's LFOs are only positive voltage too. Yeah, they are only positive voltage. I need a voltage with negative LFO or negative values. Got an ornament crime maybe. Is it? It's called. Well, let's just use the marbles randomness. Yeah, okay, that's cool. I mean, it's not really particularly musical just because marbles chooses its values all over the damn place, but you can definitely hear it crossfading between two values, and I think that's going to be extremely useful. That was neat. Okay, let's try some of the other channel modes because they're pretty cool. Right. So the other channel modes we haven't done, we've already done link to make layered voices, so that's fine. The cycle mode is one we haven't done, which is, so that cycle mode allows a single trigger source to trigger multiple channels in a sequence. A master channel's trigger or gate will sequentially trigger the master at each of the cycle mode channels below it in order until another master channel is encountered, cycling back to the master, which makes... Oh, that's interesting. It says here, assigning the same sample, such as a ride symbol, to these channels lets their releases overlap naturally on repeated retriggering rather than cutting off unnaturally with each new attack. Assigning different samples to the cycling channels allows a variety of potentially interesting rhythmic effects. That would kind of make sense. So let's put this one in cycle mode. Better take this easier. I mean, they don't really overlap, but maybe that's because it's gated. If I put this in one-shot mode, yeah. So you can get overlap. And you can see it cycling back and forth, or you can hear it cycling back and forth between the two patterns. That's cool. That will also be extremely useful. I can see now why State Azure, when I talked to him, was in one of his streams talking to him about samplers. He was like, yeah, he has every sampler under the sun, of course, because he has like all the Eurorack stuff. But I think he said that this was a sampler that he uses the most often or would not give up between this and Bitbox and Morphogene. So I can see why this is super powerful. All right, so I am curious about this phase mod thing. I don't know what it does, but I want to try it. So we're in channel. Oh, that's where the indicator is. So that's the channel indicator on the side. So we're in channel 5. And if we phase mod it with channel 3. Oh, this is okay. So you can CV control the phase mod source. Initial phase mod index is that? Oh, that's the gain. Okay, so that's the CV gain. That's essentially a attenuate or attenuverter on the CV. That's where you want the CV to come from. So let's take this from, I don't know, 3C. Just replug this guy from Marbles. All right, I have no idea what that's going to sound like, but let's see. So channel 5, we're already triggering, I think. Well, no, let's trigger it directly. And we better put it back on not cycle mode. We'll make this. Whoa! Goes from ambient to like hardcore noise music. I'm sure that there's more subtle things that phase mod can do, but that is interesting. Yeah, that was a twist indeed. I was kind of expecting something more subtle, not totally trashing the sound. All right, just a minute. Realize I think I keep clipping on my microphone. I need to turn it down. Yeah, that was definitely interesting with quotes. Interesting as in, I might never use this, but okay. All right, the other thing that you were talking about, Jajara, was the ability to have it randomly choose a sample without necessarily a CV value going in, right? Yes, it'll probably need exploration. I'm sure of that. Like a gain somewhere or something. Maybe it's just because of the mix settings. Nope, weird. Okay. We're in chord mode. Sounds so bad now. Okay, so if we wanted to get it to trigger a slightly different sample, how would we go about doing that? So let's see about the zones thing first. We'll just use channel 1 for argument's sake. So, all right, we've already got that one sample in there. Like this might have been the other weird sample. All right, so now that other sample in there. Oh, here we go. Select mod source. Okay, so this will be where are we sending in CV from? Let's just take that same 3C. Selection type. Oh, so you can make it only select the zone on gate rise. Okay, that makes sense. Or continuously change the zone. Let's do continuous for now, why not? Figured out how to add sample. Set up this. All right, manual, tell me about zones. To say sample C across a few ranges, does it sound weird playing over a wide audience? Samples so it feels more human. Yeah, totally. I totally get what you mean. I'm pretty sure it's going to be something that involves zones in order to do that at the very least. So, added zone. Selection range. Each time you add a new zone, the default voltage selection range half of what was the voltage range for the zone above it. What? The next line of the manual literally says, huh, you might well be thinking, yeah, that's accurate. Add in another zone. How about we'll add in this one? Oh, okay. Oh yeah, okay, you can see it now. It split it into 3 separate zones for you automatically, and this might have been the thing that they added or whatever, but yeah, so it'll be different samples depending on the zone we're in. So, and this is for channel 1, so let's got marbles going in, so we'll see if it chooses another sample now eventually. It was, but those weren't the samples I wanted. Let's see. Weird. I don't know what that sample was that I took. I think I sadly must have erased that one with my talking. But yeah, so if you set up these zones and then you sent a random CV value into it, like, I don't know, sure, I'll take something from a random generator. And you probably would want to set it, I guess, on, rather than continuous, probably on gate rise to select the zone. So it's picking random positions in that zone constantly, and this is just on one channel too, so maybe turn off the link for a second because that's influencing things. It's an interesting bit of delay actually. If you like click on something and then move, the menu doesn't open. You have to click and wait for some of these things, which is kind of annoying. You're right, it does sound like Mario jumping. Anyway, that seems like what you would do, from what I understand of how this works. There's different, this is this one, and then select. Or does this just let you, this, oh, this shows you, can you, trying to see if this might be a screen that shows you which sample is being selected, but I'm not sure. Yeah, okay. So let's pull up some of the presets because they're kind of cool. Sec. Here's a demo with zones. Why don't we load this? What have we got? One channel. That channel has, oh, tons of zones in it. So this should demonstrate it. Don't go quite as fast. There you go. That's zones. There's another one for. Oh, there's a demo for phase mod. Let's see what that does, because that might be something that's more useful. Looks like there's a bunch of different sample types here. Feel as though that's a trumpet phase modulated by something else. Let's see. This is again, so I don't have to. Whoa. What is that? That's crazy sounding. Alright, what is channel 7? File in a linked channel, so it's playing 7 and 8. Oh, and it's modulated with its other channel. That's cool. Alright, that's a better example of what this is. Nice. There's an X fade one. We know how that works. We've seen that. Alright. Get some of these because there's some cool stuff here. Takes a bit to load some of this stuff. By the way, there's also, in each folder, you can have multiple presets. Let me just reload this. I think I just messed something up. He said Google did a thing like this to make new sounds via machine learning. Interesting. I guess just like cross-modulating a bunch of sounds with each other and seeing what comes out. Yeah, it is kind of annoying. The Wofus. But the only place where I've really seen it and it's been a pain is in this one where you're choosing the channel type. Everything else has been pretty much instantaneous. It's just the channel type that seems to have that lag on it for whatever reason. But I was saying that there was like presets by data 2. No, folder. Already did. I don't remember. I'll have to look it up. Anyway, there like each folder has multiple sets of presets in it, so it's sort of like the setup that you have on Dig Attack in that way. That's very nice. That's also very nice. Should we put that through Morphogene? Why not? All of my cables are just slightly too short for everything I want to do. We have an old place here. Let's trigger that guy. Let's let's trigger this one. Feedback into I've always been terrified of doing any sort of patches that involve feeding back sound into anything, because I think I did that once very early in my non-Eurorack side of things, just in normal sense, and made like the worst feedback ever and nearly blew out speakers, and it was just like, I don't want that to happen again. Okay, so it's one shot, we triggered it, it's looping. Let's record some of this into morphogen. Morphogene, you're so sensitive for tuning. Right. Open up a new dimension. You know what we can... Oh, and hi, Mr. Basic. Good to see you. Modulate some stuff. That would be cool, actually. Whole song with one sample being processed. As long as I can use Paul Stretch in there somewhere so that I can make some crazy pad in the background. This can be modulated like this. It's already supposed to be playing, but apparently it isn't. I'll have to figure that out later. Smooth mode. Here. Alright, you asked for it. We'll go into class. Feel like this would be a good one for either granular or looping delay. Can't see what I'm doing because I didn't have things set up to do this, but everything's going into clouds now. interesting phasing going on. Inspection a little bit. I did forget rings. Where would we put rings in this? Alright, why the hell not? Let's come out of the... Let's come out of the assimilator and we'll go into two separate rings. Because why not? Into the inputs. I have no idea. This is probably going to be terrible. Let's, oh, shoot. Oh. Alright, now we're going out into rings. It's the Rossum out of rings. Let's change it around. Yeah, this is... Let me adjust this. You can maybe see what I'm doing. There's rings. So this is out of the assimilator. Morphogene's on fully what we're hearing from the assimilator. But yeah, this is the assimilator going out through rings. There's those interesting overtones. Interesting that it's a little bit biased to the left. I'm not really sure why. Some things. There you go. Now it's gonna ring. Ooh, that's actually kind of cool. If you tame it. It's interesting that two rings nearly the same way are getting quite different values. Let's just take what we got there. Because why not? And we'll... Oh, you know what? It's the panning. It's the panning. It's the panning. I don't know what's going on. It does, yeah, it does need enveloping. I'm trying to figure out how I might do that. Give it a longer release. I think the problem is it's re-triggering in the same actually. 199-second release time, that's okay. I'll have to figure that out. I'm not sure how you get it to do sort of overlapping samples. I'm not gating it, so. But now we got the sounds from rings. Let's put clouds back in the mix. Yeah, I like this. Double reverb. Yeah, this is actually the first time I've coaxed a sound out of rings because I've sent things into rings before, but the problem is that because it's a resonator, you need the right sound going in to be able for the resonator to pick up on those frequencies and resonate them, right? So if you don't send in something that has enough harmonic content, at least I think is what the deal is, it just sounds like you're playing the note through rings and nothing is happening. But we picked out a couple of ones in this that sounded pretty cool. Now what I would totally do with this is take this whole mix and re-record it back into Assimil8or, and if I can figure out the enveloping, just have an endless pad. Which I think I might do. Debate about with clouds. Maybe I want the looping delay mode. No, it's much better in granular mode. I know this does sound a lot like his stuff. I really wish that Assimil8or would, when he does his live streams, would do like I do and sit down and talk about what he's doing, because I'm already so... His stuff is so cool, and he doesn't show enough of how it gets put together, and I've always been curious, because some of his voices, like, he says one video they did on the Vector where he explains the patch, and he has like an E370 putting out just like a sine wave, and somehow he turns it into something that's like super magically amazing sounding, and I feel like there's other things involved he doesn't talk about. Oh yeah, I don't doubt he prepares like crazy to get to that point. I don't doubt that at all. And I don't know, but I think that he has way more experience than I do, for sure, but like, I would love to pick his brain. Now, what about if we now start sending the other sample in? Because there was another choral sample that was just slightly different pitch, I think? Yeah, it's just a slightly different drone. 15 years on me, yeah, I have no idea. them both. I was just thinking that would be an interesting usage of the crossfade thing, would be to trigger them both on one-shot mode in an infinite loop, and then crossfade randomly back and forth between the two of them to just change the sort of underlying stuff that's being sent into rings. Oh. This module is going to get so much use. I am very happy for this. Let's see if we can set that up. I don't know how hard it is from one of these presets, but let's see. So we triggered 7 and 5, right? Yeah, okay, so we can put these in crossfade tracks. Let's put it in crossfade with A. Crossfade with A. Go all the way down here and then choose this and then choose the channel. It's really weird. So we'll take so turn off my efficiency so we can hear if it actually fades between. This is something to stay negative. And positive very briefly. You could hear the other chord coming through, so that is doing what it's supposed to do. That was easy. Yes, I think the crossfading and the zones I'm definitely going to use a lot. I'm actually very curious to try what Jajoro was mentioning about, and do a bunch of recordings of the kalimba. Like one where I play with my fingernails, one where I don't play with the fingernails, and get them to randomly trigger and make a melody out of that, because that might sound really interestingly natural. Then I need to get an acoustic guitar and do the same thing. Man, I am really happy with how this has turned out. I realized I couldn't see what I was doing when I was doing it. By the way, I should note, this module is built like a tank. When you take it out, it feels like you could throw it against a wall and nothing would happen to it. I think it's kind of crazy. In comparison to some other modules where it feels like there's all these like circuit boards poking out and all over the place, this thing is like crazy, and it comes like multiple layers of different packaging and whatnot. And like the encoders, by the way, feel fantastic compared to a lot of other encoders that I've used before. Like they move nicely, they don't really wobble that much. People say that Rossum does extremely high quality stuff, and I would believe it now. Makes me curious about their other modules like the Control Forge and all that kind of stuff. What else can we do with this now? Oh yeah, like the Morpheus. You want one of those? That Z-plane filter or whatever the heck it is. It's true, Mr. Basic, yeah, there's been modules that I haven't liked the ergonomics, like, I mean, for instance, the Eloquencer. Functionally great sequencer, but the user interaction portion of it is, like, the buttons are mushy, they don't always register, it's a weird UI setup, and that was half the reason that I couldn't use that sequencer. It's just, like, the interface design, right? And so you're right, the feel is the most important thing in a lot of ways. No, the Evolution and the Linnaeus, right? Those are some of their earlier ones, right? I've been very curious about the panharmonicum or whatever. Like, it seems like a type of weird resynthesis that, like, I've seen in a pedal, but I've never seen anywhere else. I don't know how useful it would necessarily be. It's huge, but it's interesting. So, and why not the Morpheus version? Because that's the one you always hear people talking about filter-wise when it comes to Rossum stuff. Yeah, that's fair. I can't say that I understand that filter at all. Like, moving in a third dimension of filtering is crazy. Everyone goes crazy over it. I have somebody that I was trying to trade something with, and that was one of the modules on. Actually, on his he sent me his entire modular grid setup and was like, "What are you interested in any of these things?" And the only things that were off limits were all of the Rossum stuff, because he had the Assimilator, the Control Forge, the Morpheus, the Trident, or whatever their like gigantic oscillator thing is. It was cool. I just want to see if I can get some nice sounding. Let's see. Instrument for it. Yeah, right. I might as well leave that voice patch up. Yeah. Why is my stages not triggering? Because I'm on the wrong part. That's what I mean. it just me, or do these sound like octaves? Because they're not on my keyboard. It's definitely out of tune. Can you trigger a gate when the next sample comes in? I don't know. I don't think so, based on what I understand of this, because the only outputs that the sampler has are like the sound outputs, right? I mean, I guess what you could do, I mean, we can't in this case, we run out of channels, but you could set this up and say, okay, so we're triggering channels 7 and 5. If those were both mono channels or something like that, or we had extra points in it, we could have another linked channel that was just a blip, right? Like a little click. And that could, if that was linked in, then every time this triggered, that blip would be essentially a trigger, not a gate, but a trigger, and you could use that to do something else. But it's an interesting idea. I feel like I want slightly different. I want to like on this note, I want that pad to tune slightly differently. You're right, it is DC coupled, that's right. No, you're right, it can sample CV as well. So yeah, you're completely right. I had forgotten about that entirely, because I've never really played with sampling of CV, but that could be really interesting. Keeps fading out, and we get the sort of lesser sound, but I think it's the crossfading between the two samples that's doing it. I'm glad I sold you on it, because I mean, I knew it was going to be good, and then I started playing with it in this, like literally this is the first time I've touched it in this stream, and holy cow, yeah, this is going to be one that I can throw out the box, because I'm never trading it. I would totally get one of those gigantic, like, I don't know how many U they are, ones that like curve up and go way up. If it wasn't for the fact that I really like my portability, it's a place that I go out to once a year that's super inspiring for writing music, and I love to bring my stuff with me, but obviously I would feel really terrible if I'm like, oh, I wish I knew I could use this one module, and it's in my gigantic case back at home that I can't move because it weighs like a ton. Although then I look at like Richard Devine or whatever his name is, set up with like an entire wall of synth stuff that's all plugged together, making these crazy patches, and I'm like, oh, that would be cool. But you are totally right. Oftentimes less is more. I've always been amazed by those people doing the 3 module challenges on YouTube. Some of the stuff that they can come up with. There's actually one, if you were interested in the Telharmonic, there is, I think it's a 3 module challenge. I think DivKid posted it. It's just the Telharmonic and maybe just like Pams and something else. And holy cow, it is so good. So good. Yeah, true, and I've seen lots of good ambient stuff that comes from just a tiny little skiff that people just are incredibly creative at using, and I also, sometimes I feel like I have all these modules and I don't use half of them half the time, but you know, it helps me to rotate things out. You saw it, yeah. That was the first video that I watched when I was like, yeah, I need to tell it. It was incredible, and I think it was in analog shift mode, which is what I basically used the harmonic for up until the last video. So. Alright, well, it is about time for me, unfortunately, to pack this in. Sadly, I have to go back to work tomorrow. But thanks everyone for coming by. I am really happy with how that went. It sounds amazing, and I think that I am going to leave this patch, and I think that later on in the week I will record this back into the Assimil8or, because this might be useful to have. But yeah, so I will be back on again to stream on Saturday, and I will see you all there. You're very welcome. Let's see if there's anyone there. I don't think there's anyone around. Oh, there is actually. This guy, Jeff For Real, has done some interesting ambient stuff with, we're talking about limited stuff with a bunch of Volcas and pedals, so let me send you over there. Other than that, I hope you all have a good night, and I will talk to you on Friday. Saturday. Later.